let's take a look at Aries' stats. Dragon Master, pretty much, aside from HP and defend, everything is better than Emperor. He is a DPS after all, so if you want maximum damage output, Dragon Master would be the recommended class you go with, along with high mobility. Fearless Will. We're gonna look at 3-star first, and then because 3, 4, 5, 6 stars is pretty much the same except the stats go up. So increases all stats excluding HP by 2% for every one enemy within a 1 range radius, up to a maximum of 8%. So more enemy near you, the stronger you get. So more stacks you get. So when moving, can pass through enemy units. So this means anyone inside, let's say they can block you or they can trap you, because you can't go through enemy. But with his talent, he can go through enemy at all times. So before dealing damage and after taking action, gain 1 sweep formation stack for every 1 enemy until you pass through this turn. So sweep formation is critical chance increased by 5%. So in game, the translation is wrong. It's a crit damage. It's wrong. It's crit chance increased by 5%. Can stack up to 5 times, so you can have a maximum of 25% crit chance. If a critical hit is triggered this turn, clears all previously obtained sweep formation stacks after taking actions. So which means you have this gain 1 sweep formation. The more heroes, enemy you pass through, the more stacks you have. And after that, you use your attack, you use your critical chance, afterward your stacks is gone. Then now 3, 4, 5 stars different would be the stat would be 2, 3, 4, 5%, and then the ring radius is 1, 2, 2, 3, which means 4 and 5 stars is pretty much the same, and 6 stars 3 ring radius, which means it's very easy to trigger that maximum 20%, and the crit chance would be 5, 6, 7, 8%. So he's the first hero that can completely go through enemy units aside from teleport. Aries is not a collab hero, which means he will require different heroes to unlock his 4th and 5th bond. So if you are planning to use him or build him, make sure you have Maya, who's currently in the banner, and you would need Bozo. Bozo, I assume a lot of people would have him already because he was free to obtain in events. I missed the very first one, and the second one I got him to 6 stars with that free shards. Roar, a common infantry skill, attacks a single target, dealing 1.3 times damage. Before battle, dispel 2 enemy buffs and decrease their attack intelligence by 20%. Last 1 turn. Sunshade here, a common infantry skill where you have a 30% chance to restore your HP 30% of damage dealt in this battle. Resurgent Gale, passive, critical chances increased by 10% after dealing damage. If this unit has a sweep formation effect, it can move another 4 blocks. Cooldown trigger, this move again effect has a 1 round cooldown. So this one you will need to use it with his talent. So if his talent gives him this sweep formation, then he can move another 4 blocks. So you have to be careful is that this move again effect doesn't work when you're fighting against Landius 3C, because his 3C blocks move again effect. But if you're out of range, or if you if there's no Landius, then you can move again after taking action every other turn. Reinforcement, passive skill, after taking action restores 20% unit HP. Resist, assist skill, raises a unit's magic defense by 30% and also grants immunity to the stun, unbuffable, and mobility reduction debuffs last 2 turns. I mean, as a DPS, I don't think you'll equip this to assist your teammates, but whatever. Wind Whisper, Flyers AoE. A lot of heroes, a lot of flyers have this skill. So physical damage deals 0.3 AoE damage to nearby enemies and debuffs each target. So this one's really good to use after his 3C, which I'll explain later. Lightning, also a common flyer attack. So attacks 1.5 times damage. When you kill an enemy, the cooldown decreases by 3. So basically you can use it right away the next turn. Transmigration is a faction buff. And A lot of faction buff is just like, it just buffs your character, right? But some characters faction buff gives you extra additional stats. So for his one, he does get that. So for every one enemy within 3 blocks, damage dealt is increased by 5% up to 20%. So on top of his other offensive and defensive stats increase. And usually, not usually actually, for majority of the damage dealt increase faction buff, it's up to 15%, but for him, he can get up to 20%. Noble Charge, physical damage, attacks a single enemy, dealing 1.4 times damage, dispels 3 enemy buffs before battle. Before entering battle, critical damage is increased by 8% for any enemy within a 2-ring span, up to 32%. And when you kill an enemy, the skill's cooldown is reduced by 3 turns. So, very strong because you can dispel 3 buffs now. So if you're lucky, dispel a defend buff, then you're going to do even more damage. And this one is 5-turn cooldown. With that 3-turn cooldown, there's really no reason to choose lightning over this unless you're really confident with your attack. Okay, his awakening skill, Fearless Hurricane, cost 3, cooldown 4, range self, and span single. So this is an assist, so he only buffs himself. So let's take a look. Assist active use, unit gains Fearless Hurricane. Fearless Hurricane is after dealing damage, causes all enemies within 2 ring of unit to be transferred beside this unit, then deals 1 ring of 0.15 times AoE damage. If this unit has siege formation effect, may then move 4 blocks. Last 1 turn, unit also grants attack plus 20%, ride the wind, and reinforcement. The last 2 turns. After use, may move again with remaining movement plus 4, but may only move in a straight line. Okay, it might sound a little bit confusing, but let's simplify it by looking this as Leon's Chivalry. Except he's not going to move, he's going to buff himself where he starts, and then plus 4 movement, which means Flyer has 5 movements plus 4, that's a 9 movement, and he can retreat. He can retreat, but only in a straight line. So it's kind of like Chivalry in a way, and it gives him all these kind of buffs, and it gives him an AoE. This is a crazy busted 3C because of his talent, because now you can just go through heroes and hit whoever the hell you want. We're going to talk about his infantry class first. Balanced Blade is one of the best weapon for him in my opinion, because he has 2 AoE, especially with using his 3C and then Wind Whisper. Now the span is going to be amazing. You're going to hit everyone. Demon Slayer probably gives him the most damage because of attack and skill. He requires a lot of skill. He deals a lot of crit. And this also works with AoE. If you use double AoE here, then including his 3C of course, then now you can dispel a lot of buffs and apply debuff. Same reason as the other swords. If you are using 2 AoE focus, 3C and Wind Whisper, now you can deal 2 times fixed damage. Aeneas armor is a pretty good one for him when he uses infantry class, because if you equip Sunshade on him, now his healing will increase by 10%. Every infantry's biggest weakness is range attack, so if this procs, it increases his chance of surviving. Carbon Fiber I think is the best for him, because it's the only armor that gives you attack and skill, and he needs both. He's tankier when he has more HP, and when he's weak, he can deal more damage. Furrier of Tyr is no doubt his best helmet when it comes to infantry class, because when he uses 3C, he's going to stand there. When he uses the 3C, it's going to proc. Carbon fiber helmet, same reason as the armor, but I think if you're going to use the helmet, just use the armor and the helmet so it stacks. Chief helmet is, in my opinion, is one of the best for infantry because it gives you a lot of HP, and especially with heroes that can move again, now you can kind of choose the unit that you want to buff. In this case with 3C, he can probably buff 2 heroes. We're going to take a look at the accessory last because both class share the same accessories. For Flyers, Ragnarok is the weapon that you always want. It's possibly the best one. It helps you break a lot of passive that's like HP at 100%, the defense increases, blah 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 blah. If you use Ares as single shot focus, then Ragnarok is no doubt the best. Scarlet Reaper is built for him. because of his 3C and Wind Whisper. Now he can proc the fixed damage twice. You have a very strong build on Ares. It's really easy to take out squishies. Thorn Guardian is when you don't have the above 2 axe. It gives you really nice stats, but that's pretty much it. No special effects. Last right is all flyersome. Best armor. Especially for Ares here, he flies in. He's a lone ranger. He goes in and then he does his stuff. He tries to kill one or weaken the other team, and he needs to survive. And last right gives him the highest chance for survivability. Monkey King, it's pretty much used when you don't have last rights. And in PvP, if you do get like all their units with your 3C and AoE, it pretty much forces them to either heal or they have to kill you with their range attackers. Otherwise, if they do not have a range attacker and they have to, you know, kill you because they can't ignore you're just like right there, right? Then Monkey King gives you a high chance to counter kill. If they do decide to heal first, now you get a chance to escape. Demon Lizard Skin is also a decent choice if you don't have last rights to give you a lot of HP, and when attacked, you have 50% chance to deal a random debuff. So let's say if it gives them a attack debuff, so now you have a better chance to survive. Kane's Crown is his best helmet. If you use his 3C and his passive where it allows him to move again, now he can give a buff to at least one unit. Flower Boon is pretty good. Remember he has this skill called Reinforcement where he gets 20% HP back, and this is basically getting a 4th skill if you don't have Reinforcement equipped. Jormungandr's Eye, it's good for the stats. I think it's kind of hard to proc the reduce an enemy's damage by 15% because it has to be within 2 range. Kind of hard because he's a flyer and you probably won't, you know, do anything so close. Well, I mean, you can possibly use 3C at that close range. I didn't put Loki's Mask here because the stat only counts when it's in battle, but this one counts even without being in battle. A Twilight Star. Twilight Star is actually really good on him, but you have to have a Scarlet Reaper. If you can bypass that fixed damage immunity, a very high chance to kill a squishy. There's a lot of flyer in PvE and PvP, so Flare Emblem is a very decent choice, especially it gives you a lot of attack percent. Judge Talisman is also good, but I would prefer using that in PvP instead because there's heroes that are holy, such as Chris, such as Yusuke, Yulia, etc. If you're using his infantry class, Apex Boot is definitely the best because he is lacking mobility. Okay, I didn't put Lone Star's picture in here, but stay away from Lone Star. People think that, you know, oh, okay, he's a Lone Ranger, Lone Star is perfect, but it does not work with AoE. It's not going to work with a 3C. Enchant choices. Breeze, flyer with Breeze is always like a flyer with a steroid. So in general, it's really good because of the damage increased by 10%, not attack, but damage percent, which also works with his AoE. And once Breeze procs, even without his 3C, he can move. He has a lot of map control, so it makes him very scary. Full Moon, I think, is his most optimal enchant. It makes him a little bit tankier and gives him the maximum damage. And it's very easy for him to maintain above 80% health in both PvE and PvP. PvP wise, he would be always the one attacking first before he gets attacked because of his crazy 9 range movement. Clock is a viable option, but it's not the best in my opinion. Well, first, it does help using Majestic Charge because 5 cooldown, but if you do kill, that's -3, which doesn't automatically allows you to use it the next turn. So Clock can help here. However, Clock doesn't proc on 3C because it's kind of like an assist passive kind of skill rather than like an actual attacking skill. Ancient Beckoning, I think he's viable against Sleipnir in phase 2 because he can attack and move again every other turn. Okay, now when it comes to the Mastery Stone, you want to focus on attack, of course, and then skill, and then rest. It's pretty much whatever you want, HP or defense. Whether you're using Infantry class or Dragon Master class, I recommend using Steel Wing Warrior. Gives you the max damage. Heaven Guard is also a very decent choice. Gives you the maximum damage, especially when you use this 3C. However, Heaven Guard cannot fly. So if you're using Dragon Master, there's a lot of terrain restriction. And we have Angels here. I think the only reason you use it is when you have to fight against a lot of mages. Other than that, there's no way it's better than Steel Wing Warrior. Okay, and this is the end of the guide. I hope you guys find this informative. I hope you guys had a better understanding how to use and build this hero. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.